Buddha and Jainism. And who are the minorities? Here, religiously the people are in lesser number, they are treated as minorities. For example, Islam, Christianity, Buddha and other people are treated as minorities in India. These people or these groups have been facing many problems. Let us try to understand what are the constitutional protections given to these minorities in India, and also what are the problems or these people are facing. When you look at the constitution, the article 14, it is a very important article. It is right to equality. Equality before law, equal protection of laws, means according to the constitution or according to the law, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, region, place of birth, gender, everybody will be treated equally. And article 25 is also very important article, given protection for all, right. Now let us, and it is also equally important for the minorities. This article is right to freedom of religion, means everybody is having their own choice of choosing the freedom of right to freedom of choosing the religion. And article 26 also, you can article 26 also, the individuals are having a right to in institutions. For example, they can preach, they can start their institutions with regard to religion. And article 27 means it is with regard to a key right reinforcing the principles of secularism. This article protects the citizens from being compelled to taxes, means with regard to any religion, the individual is not supposed to pay any taxes with regard to any religion. And you have article 28 and article 29. Article 28 speaks that regulations regarding the religious instructions and worship in educational institutions. It means no particular religion is taught in public or public run institutions, means only any particular religion teachings may not be taught in that particular institution. And there are certain provisions will be given in the article 29 and 30 of the Indian Constitution, that minorities can establish and their own institutions, they can promote the cultural activities, and they can also promote the educational activities of this minorities, that is provided in your article 29 and 30. Now let us try to understand, there are certain problems being faced by these minorities in India. Though the constitution has given certain provisions for the betterment of the minorities, however, still these minorities are facing certain challenges, certain problems in the current scenario. What are those problems? Let us try to understand one by one. One is sense of insecurity. Though we have constitution, though we have certain laws, but however, when religious conflicts or any rights occur, a sense of insecurity grows among the minority groups. Not only does this cause mental distress, but it also leads to living separately from majority groups, means they go for isolation. They really feel insecure in living with the major groups. And the second important point to understand here is identity crisis. Many times the minorities having a separate culture, separate language, separate tradition, separate belief, separate festivals. Due to this, they may not mingle with the major groups. So they fear that over a period of time their culture may go erupt, or they are going to lose their habits, their traditions, their beliefs and their norms. So for that they would create lot of awareness, and they also do lot of teaching, but still however they have identity crisis is also one of the problem facing by the minorities. And economic backwardness, one more important problem faced by the minorities, economic backwardness. There are certain studies and reports suggest that particularly Sachar committee have clarified that poverty, unemployment are high among certain minority groups because lack of education, lack of skills, lack of employment opportunities, particularly in this country. Muslims are having this economic backwardness is very high among the Muslim, and the employment opportunities for these groups also very less. And educational problems. Now let us try to understand what are the educational problems with regard to minorities. Children from religious minorities are not receiving a quality education. They are not getting a scientific education because many children are limited to religious educational institutes rather than regular schools. Because in minority groups, the people send their children to religious educational institutions. They don't send to the regular educational institutions where they learn knowledge more scientifically. So that is the reason those people are not getting jobs in public sector or private sector. And low political representation. If you understand the representation or the participation of these minority, whether it is in the parliament, whether it is in assembly or state legislative assemblies or any other local self government, the participation of minorities very less. Because of this, there is no voice of these people in terms of taking when their decisions are taken with regard to the minorities. So low political participation is also one of the important issue to understand. Overall, we need to understand that the minorities in India having certain challenges to face, but overall the constitution and also the various legislations also working towards to the betterment of the minorities. However, still there is a great awareness to be created, and at the same time the other organizations like non-governmental organizations and and other media and other stakeholders also to work a communal harmony and also for the upliftment of the minorities in the country. Thank you.